Good evening. It's Adam here again with another quick instant movie review for you. So tonight I caught the latest Russell Crowe film called The Pope's Exorcist. This is based on a true life story of the exorcist for the Vatican, Mr. Father Gabriel Amorth. Now, Gabriel has an interesting story. He, at the age of 17, came to the Vatican and said, I've had a calling from God that I need to do some work, and I've been called by him. They said, go away, you're too young, go and get some life experience. So he gets enlisted into the war. It's the 1940s. He goes and fights in the war, has an injury, comes back, goes and studies law, then goes back to the church and goes, I feel like I've still got this calling. What can you do for me? And they go, now you got some experience, kid. Come on in. And then at the age of 60, he gets called up by the Vatican to actually become the key or the head exorcist for the Vatican. That's true. That's officially what he did. And Father Gabriel went ahead and performed over 100,000 exorcists during his time when he was at the age of 60. He passed away in 2016, wrote 12 books and many, many hundreds of papers and articles as his time as a media advisor within the Vatican. What a fascinating story, and it's probably that part of the story that led Russell Crowe to wanting to be a part of this film directed by Julius Avery, the Australian director who previously directed The Samaritan, as well as... he directed something else, Overlord. That's what it was, the J.J. Abrams produced film from a couple of years back. So that all sounds like an interesting story, and that's the story that would be really fascinating to be able to see up on the big screen. However, what we get is that in a certain amount of flashbacks, instead we're handed I'm going to say an extremely generic exorcist film where Father Gabriel is called out to a mansion where a young boy, Henry, is being possessed by the devil incarnate, and he has to work with a young priest to exorcise the demon before he destroys Henry. And they discover some nasty undoing at this particular place where the family is held up. And there's some shady stuff with the Vatican in the past, which has led to where we are now. So it's pretty generic, really, that part. And I suppose the interesting thing about these types of films, and you look at films like The Conjuring, and you look at how these films tell really interesting true life stories and put a bit of a Hollywood spin on it. And I think the thing about The Pope's Exorcist that is really interesting is just how good films like The Conjuring are to mix this true life with a little bit of supernatural. I just feel like this film doesn't do that. And you've got the most amazing central character in this true life priest who did all this stuff. And you've got Russell Crowe giving it his all with his Italian accent and not doing too bad a job. He's actually pretty good in this film, and as he said in many an interview, he's not a big horror film fan, and the script when it came to him was pretty generic, and it wasn't until he went and did his own research into this main character that he discovered a more interesting story. And Russ being Russ, I'm pretty sure he had a hand in really massaging it to make it something that he would indeed star in. Otherwise, this could have just very well have been a B-grade, throw it to the wolves exorcist film. But it has layers of something better, and it certainly does lead itself up very nicely to playing into over 200 sequels if it really wanted to. And I suppose with this film, It would have been nice to really delve more into the past of who this person becomes, to then really want to then see where we're going to go after that. And if it becomes a little bit more of a generic territory, that's okay. I feel like The Conjuring did it a lot better, dare I say, with a lot more thrills and a lot scarier. This film very much ticks all the boxes of things that we have very much seen before. It's not a patch on The Exorcist, or I think very many Exorcist films that we have seen beforehand, and it really does lead to a bit of a CGI boob up fest at the very end, which we just did not need. Russell was interesting. He plays it with a little bit of levity, which is what this Exorcist was. He was quite well known for having a lot of dad jokes and having a bit of a laugh, which is great, which is fantastic, and Russell does very much lend into that. The cast is all very good. The young boy, Peter, I can't remember your last name, who plays Henry, the young boy who's traumatized by this entity, does an amazing job as the possessed individual. Really, like, frightening stuff. And yeah, everyone else, it just ticks the box, really. So overall, the Pope's Exorcist, I'm going to get this word right, I promise. Exorcist was fine. It was fine. It wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. And it wasn't as interesting as it could have been. So if there is a sequel, I'd really like for it to be an origin story, so we can see what happened when this man at the age of 60 was then offered the chance to become the Pope's exorcist. The lead up to that would have been really interesting. Anyway, this is the film we got. This is the rating you're going to get, which is 6.5 out of 10. I'd probably lean more towards 6 because I feel like it needed a lot more investment. I kind of wish that Russell had pushed harder to get the film that I really think he wanted to make, to be honest with you. But overall, it's good this story's out there. I'd love to see some more films about this gentleman. And fascinating. The stuff that is interesting is good. Anyway, boo. Have a great night.